Hello everyone and welcome once again to GSTEF TV, the home of the deepest whispers, the hottest revelations, and the kind of Nollywood gist that keeps you awake at night wondering what exactly goes on behind those glamorous smiles, rehearsed poses, and carefully curated social media posts. Before we dive into today's unbelievable gist, kindly hit that subscribe button if you have not already, because what I am about to reveal today is the kind of gist that deserves its own movie. It is fiery, controversial, and heavy enough to make even industry insiders pause and say, what exactly is happening between Bryan Okwara and Maurice? So go ahead, subscribe, settle down, and let us go into the full story because today's gist is one the internet is not ready for. Now, to understand how the tension of this night even began, you have to remember that both Maurice and Bryan Okwara are not just ordinary faces in Nollywood. They are two kings, two personalities who walk into a room and automatically command attention. They shine differently. Their fan bases are intense. Their reputations are well established. And the moment you put two such strong forces in the same space, especially for a high-budget production, forces are bound to collide. People close to the matter claim the night in question was supposed to be just another shooting day on a high-intensity fictional action comedy project. Everything had been going smoothly for weeks. The cast was cooperating. The production team was excited. The director kept saying this movie would change the game in terms of stunts, storytelling, and chemistry between the leads. But nobody expected the events of this single night to almost overshadow the entire project. According to insiders, the whole problem began the moment the director announced they would be shooting a complicated rooftop stunt. Now, stunts are normal part of filmmaking, but this one had multiple moving parts, running across the edge of a tall building, jumping over obstacles, acting panicked while remaining safe, and still delivering lines with precision and emotional clarity. The director insisted both actors perform the stunt themselves because he wanted the authenticity to show in every frame. People claim Maurice was the first to react. They say he immediately straightened himself, nodded in confidence, and said he was ready. Bryan allegedly smiled slowly, the kind of smile that says, "I've done this before. This won't shake me." So already, before anyone even stepped onto the rooftop, there was this subtle energy building between the two actors. The kind of silent competition men have when they want to prove who can handle more pressure. It wasn't hostile yet. It wasn't dramatic yet. But something was clearly brewing. The stunt team prepared everything. Safety harnesses were checked twice. The rooftops were swept clean. Lighting cables were secured to prevent accidents. The cameras were mounted. The director rehearsed everyone through their marks again and again. Every single thing seemed controlled and ready. But insiders insist that even during rehearsals, there was this quiet undertone of rivalry between Maurice and Bryan. Not loud. Not childish. Just a silent tension that everyone could feel but nobody dared talk about. They kept measuring each other's steps, glancing subtly at who was more agile, who could jump further, who appeared more fearless. The air was charged even before the actual chaos of the night began. When shooting finally commenced, everything was going perfectly until the unexpected happened. According to the whispers floating around, a fictional generator cut, one nobody anticipated, suddenly caused the lights to go out. Total blackout. Darkness enveloped the rooftop. Crew members shouted in shock. Someone nearly slipped near the ledge. A camera operator dropped his headset. The director yelled for everyone to stay still. In the midst of that confusion, Bryan and Maurice were standing extremely close to the edge of the rooftop. It was in that moment that everything reportedly shifted. Insiders claim Maurice, who had been trying to keep his balance, reached out in panic and grabbed the nearest thing to him. That nearest thing just happened to be Bryan. Not Bryan's hand, not Bryan's arm, but his entire harness, pulling the actor so close that it looked like Maurice was holding on to him for dear life. People say Bryan's reaction was immediate and sharp. He stiffened, he turned his head, and he allegedly barked in a frustrated whisper, "Bryan Okwara is not your safety rail." The crew members who heard it swear that those words cut through the darkness louder than expected. Some found it funny later, but in that moment, the tension skyrocketed. But the story did not end there. Insiders insist Maurice, still trying to steady himself, responded with words that escalated everything without him realizing. According to those present, he said, "If you fall, we fall together." Now, normally that line would be dramatic, touching, even brotherly. But the way Maurice reportedly said it, strained voice, adrenaline pumping, frustration mixed with fear, made the crew pause. Some thought he was trying to be funny. Others thought he was subtly mocking Bryan's earlier comment. But a handful of insiders swear Bryan took it very personally. For a moment, everything was still dark. Only the faint lights from distant buildings illuminated the outlines of the two actors. And it was in that dim silence that something very unexpected reportedly surfaced. People close to the set claimed Bryan pulled slightly away from Maurice and said in a low voice that did not sound like acting, "This is why I told them stunts should be left for professionals." According to insiders, Maurice did not appreciate that comment at all. They say he stepped forward, not aggressively, but firmly, and responded, "If you had a problem with me doing the stunt, you should have said it from the beginning." At this point, the crew members who could hear the exchange froze. Some were holding their breath. Some were pretending not to listen. The director was yelling for everyone to calm down, but his voice was being drowned out by the noise of generators being restarted. As the light slowly flickered back to life, the tension between the two men became even more visible. They were standing closer than before, both with rigid postures, both staring in a way that made it clear this was no longer just about a stunt. According to whispers, the director immediately stepped between them the moment he could see clearly again. But the whispers say the conversation did not end there. After the light came back fully, everyone expected the actors to laugh it off or shake hands and move on. That did not happen. People claim both men refused to make eye contact for several minutes. A makeup artist reportedly tried to brush powder off Maurice's face and he gently pushed her hand away, clearly still annoyed. Bryan allegedly walked to the other side of the rooftop and removed his harness with a little too much force. Crew members exchanged glances. Even the stunt coordinator whispered, "We're not shooting another frame until they calm down." When the behind-the-scenes audio of that chaotic moment leaked into the fictional online space, fans reacted wildly. Some thought the whole thing was hilarious. Others believed the rivalry was real. And many insisted the chemistry between the two was actually better because of the tension. The fan reactions poured in non-stop. Some fans wrote things like, "This is the kind of brotherhood chaos we want to see on screen." Others said, Bryan and Maurice should not be allowed near rooftops again. But the most dramatic comments came from fans who believed the tension was deeper than what the leaked audio revealed. A few even said, "Two kings cannot stand on one rooftop without shaking the foundation." However, insiders claimed the real tension wasn't just about fear or adrenaline. According to people close to the matter, there had been unspoken competition brewing between the two even before the stunt night. Both were allegedly in the running for a prestigious role in another upcoming romantic drama. And although this project was fictional for the purpose of entertainment, the rivalry between the characters mirrored a deeper narrative the audience didn't know about. Some fans speculated that the rooftop incident simply brought underlying issues into the open. Whether that is true or not, the one fact insiders agree on is that the atmosphere on set changed after that night. But something unexpected reportedly happened later in the evening. Long after the rooftop chaos, when most of the crew had gone downstairs, a few insiders claimed the director privately asked both men to stay behind for a brief conversation. The goal was to clear the air, calm the tension, and make sure their on-screen chemistry remained intact. People claimed the director spoke for nearly 10 minutes, reminding them of their professionalism, their star power, and how much the project depended on their cohesion. At first, neither actor said a word. But eventually, insiders say Bryan exhaled deeply and said something along the lines of, "Let's finish this movie well." Maurice reportedly nodded and responded with a simple, "I'm good. Let's work." According to those present, the handshake that followed wasn't warm, but it wasn't hostile either. Just a firm, silent agreement that the show must go on. And that is exactly what happened. They returned to set the next day, acted like nothing had occurred, delivered performances so powerful that even the director kept replaying the footage. Fans who saw the fictional trailer later said the rooftop chase sequence was one of the most intense moments they had ever seen in Nollywood. For weeks after, The internet debated whether Bryan and Maurice were truly at odds or whether the tension was merely exaggerated by the leaked audio. Some fans insisted the rivalry was real. Others believed it added spice to the production. But the most interesting part of the entire gist is that insiders claim the very scene that caused all the drama became the most iconic part of the film. The director even joked later that the blackout helped them capture raw emotion neither actor could have delivered willingly. Whether that is true or not, the whispers remain. And that is the full gist. The night two Nollywood kings stood on a rooftop, surrounded by darkness, adrenaline, and silent rivalry, nearly turning a fictional bromance into a dramatic moment that shook everyone on set.